All right, CrunchBites is back. I'm here with John Henderson, Leah Maricoon, and
Yo.
John Jones, and I'm Chris Holden. And we're going to try to tackle all the stages of game development, and we're breaking it down as much as we can, and probably have too many episodes out of this, but that's good. First of all, what is the very beginning? You like games. You want to make games, but you have no idea where to start. Uh, Luckily for you, there's so much education online. There's so much free info, documentation programs, game modding out there. Just tinker around, see what you see, see what you like. If you enjoy drawing, sorry, I'm hearing a delay of myself, and it makes me flip up. Um, if you enjoy drawing, you might like programming, but you just don't know until you try it. And John Henderson has a great perspective on this. What do you think, John?
Well, I think you have a great question. It's a great way to start this whole thing off after such a long delay. One way to think about it is that there are at least three different categories of people that this question applies to. That if you love games but you don't know how to get started, well, that implies a lot of assumptions about these people. So it's worth thinking about what category you might fall into. One would be someone who has applicable skills that they've proven in other medium that could potentially be applied to games. Maybe they're an artist in other commercial fields, like in commercials or movies or TV shows, or maybe they're a programmer in other sorts of software. You might call that an adept or a professional. And maybe someone there in a professional place where they need to go from career to career. They can't just stop in the middle of something that pays their bills. They need to get back on the horse doing something that pays. So they can't afford to spend a whole lot of time going back to school or anything. And then maybe another category would be the typical gamer who plays World of Warcraft 20 hours a week and think it's job experience purely. And these people might read message boards or news sites or something, but they haven't been told or haven't found the point where there's a division of labor, or they don't know how games actually get made rather than a lot of hand waving. So there's those. That's another part. Then there'd be another person who might have some potential skill. Maybe they've gone to school, or maybe they're self-taught, and they really do genuinely love the idea of games and may actually have something to show for it, but they can't get past the social barrier. You might call those the unpresentables, the people that, in a lot of times it's not their fault, they just don't know how to use plain language. All they know as to say is, here, portfolio. And that doesn't really work. So they're the kind of person that you might potentially employ in whatever job it is, but unfortunately you can't be in the same room or form a sentence with them. So that's the tragedy of it all. So how do we address all those people? I don't know if we really have time for the second part, the people who don't know shit from Shinola. But obviously that's probably the populous group of the three. What do you guys think?
I forgot. Was John going next or me?
Chris or Lee, you go. I'll go
right.
after.
One of the things that's really nice about the game industry is we get to sit behind computers and not have to actually deal with people. So unless you're really flubbed to interview or just come in reeking, a lot of times if you're really talented, you can get past all that social stuff. I mean, you're gonna run into, obviously, company culture. You go somewhere where there's a lot of people partying, having a good time, you might not fit in, but who knows? What do you guys think?
Lee?
You don't like fitting in places, you mean? Okay. I was reading question. Oh, I'm sorry. I drew a blank for a minute. Okay, go to the next person.
I agree with John that the third group of people that don't really have any, well, this is kind of how I see it, based on John's definitions, which I like. The adepts that have a skill or a thing that could be applied to games, they're just trying to figure out how. 2, the book learned but awkward, that have a generalized skill set and are knowledgeable but are kind of looking for their thing. And then the pure gamer that just loves games, doesn't have any particular depth in any kind, like any particular skill set, that may not necessarily be applied toward games. They're kind of looking for a direction and a thing, if that makes sense, just in terms of being able to have an interest to focus on and then to be able to develop some kind of minimum set of skill toward that. I think that in the time format we have, realistically, we're going to be talking more about adepts and the book learned but awkward. But to drive that forward, what do these people need to know, like to help drive them into games? Like they're trying to find, should I be an artist or a technical artist or an animator or a designer or a programmer? Honestly, the tools are out there, like Unity and Game Salad and everything, can give you not just a series of tutorials and have thriving, vibrant communities full of people, but it'll let you touch a little bit of everything and just kind of freeform experiment with it. With, not a lot of time involvement, but just enough to kind of get an idea of what you might be interested in. Because some people really like making art. Some people really like just pure problem solving. Sometimes that takes the form in either a particularly difficult piece of art or something really mathy, or maybe they like gameplay design. What I would suggest for people that have, regardless of whether you have a specific skill set or specific thing that you're going for, try and experiment a little bit with everything. Download Game Salad, download Unity. So, just start reading tutorials. Set aside a couple hours a night or like a Saturday afternoon to just crank on stuff. Think, here's a game that I like. What makes it fun? And just dig into it. I have fun when because of this type of skill progression, or I have fun because I get to see new kinds of art, or maybe the math that goes into this is really interesting to me. Pick up Unity or Game Salad and just tackle a tiny little project, talk to people, take tutorials, and then just experiment, try everything, and just don't worry. Just don't worry about failure. Failing is good. Just learn from everything you do and try to do a little better next time.
Oh,
that would be my initial advice.
I would like to add to John's thing about the Unity. There's a really great podcast called Cooking with Unity. And
we'll promote other podcasts on this podcast, Lee. Thank you, Lee.
Sorry.
sorry.
Cooking with Unity is a really good little. It's like two guys in. It looks like their basement, but it might be their house. But they take games. Like there's a Mario game, there's a Star Fox game, there's all these old. There's a tower defense game, there's a first-person shooter game. They take them in Unity and they go ahead and they teach you how to make games, and they teach you to make simple art and simple programming, and it's a really good resource for somewhere to go to if you just want to watch and see how you could make a game really easily with free software.
That's awesome.
One thing great about YouTube is there's so much on there just like that you can just Google and find it. Any sort of game engine, Unity, UDK, CryEngine. There's all this stuff is out there. And if you're just a pure gamer, one of the cool things about Steam is the Steam Workshop. There's so many games that allow you to modify, and all the tools are right there in Steam. And you already love playing the game. Why not dick around in it? Find something you love. And if you get good at it, there are people that have submitted job applications via mod. Just recently, there was some guy that did one in Skyrim. Did a big job application in that, and I guess he got your job. I don't know. Probably. Sounds good.
Yeah, he went to Bungie, I think.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think those are the two takeaways right there. It's don't be afraid of failure, and just dive in and bang on it until something happens. And treat that as your education, and then go out and find whatever opportunity you have to talk with real game developers. Don't get up in their face, but you don't get good at anything without practice. And one of those things, if you're going to be a professional game developer, you need to learn how to talk to them and understand. First understand they are actually people. They are not NPCs. So whatever you say will count. You don't just get to push their buttons until you get around to the right dialogue choices. So treat them with respect, and you will get the same in return.
But if you do not live in an area that has any game developers you can chat to, there's always you may meet them at a conference or at a Comic-Con or at a PAX or something like that and have a talk to them there too.
And the internet is worldwide.
Yep.
One thing
Get on
I
Polycount
think.
and start
Go
talking.
ahead.
Yeah, get on Polycount and start talking there.
Yeah, that's kind of art specific, but one thing that's very big in game dev, no matter what field you choose, problem solving. If you're just pestering someone, you're not problem solving. And when you get a job in games, you're going to have to spend your whole day problem solving.
Yep.
Ugh. New engine, new tech. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in order to really make it in games, you have to try and find a thing that you can stand doing a whole hell of a lot of, and hopefully enjoy as much of the process as possible, so that the end result is worth it. I mean, to me, I discovered over time I like problem solving. That's why I moved more into being the lead management in production. I've even started teaching myself Python a little bit, just because it's an interesting way for problems to fit together. And my core fascination with games is games grow and technology develops so quickly. You're always trying to catch up with the latest and greatest and finding out how much you can accomplish of your vision in whatever limited resources you have. And I think it's an excellent breeding ground for creativity. And it's really hard to get stagnant if you have a thirst and joy for finding and solving interesting problems. And trying everything, design, art, coding, trying a little bit of everything in very, very small projects is, I think, crucial to finding the kind of thing that you can really get into the groove of. Because I never thought I would enjoy programming, and I'm still only just beginning, but I love the hell out of it. I've moved beyond just making art hands-on. I get to see how everything fits together, and I never would have done that if I hadn't have stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit and just tried it and just saw what I thought. So even if the idea of programming scares you, don't rule it out. Same for design or art. Just experiment a little with everything, and remember, what you're doing is cool. What you're doing is fun, and just try and find the joy in that and see where it takes you.
I would like to say that for fun, I made a game trailer at my previous 2 companies ago, and for fun I made a trailer for our game, and marketing loved it, and they went ahead and they moved on it, and now I'm making trailers for other games now. So that's something I enjoy doing, is doing trailers. It's fun to promote to promote a game. So that was something that was outside of my area of expertise. That if you see something you want to do, it excites you, go ahead and do it.
Just try things.
Yep.
I think that's the big point. Does anybody else have anything major, or we can wrap it up?
I didn't have anything.
Right on. So yeah, just try things. All right, see you next time.